Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into a stack of your sources, a really fascinating collection, looking at cellular health, supplements, and some unique approaches, all aimed at longevity and anti-aging.
That's right. Our goal for this deep dive is to pull out the most important insights from this material, figure out what these sources point to as key areas for potentially supporting health span, and, uncover some surprising facts along the way that your sources highlight.
Okay, let's really unpack this collection of articles, research mentions, and notes you've shared. What's the big picture takeaway the sources consistently point to when we talk about anti-aging?
It's pretty clear across these sources. Focusing on health at the most fundamental level, the cellular level seems to be paramount. Everything really starts there.
And what are the key cellular processes that keep coming up as
They
crucial?
highlight several. Think about maintaining healthy stem cells. These are like your body's built-in repair system, constantly replacing damaged cells.
Right.
But these can become less effective as you age. The sources mention ways to support them.
Right, the body's internal mechanics. And then there are the little powerhouses inside every cell,
Mhm.
the mitochondria.
Mhm.
Optimizing their function is crucial because their decline is heavily linked to aging, impacting energy production, and pretty much everything else the cell does.
Absolutely. Another foundational process is autophagy. This is essentially the cell's internal housekeeping or recycling system.
Ah,
It's vital for clearing out damaged components, recycling proteins, and keeping the cell running smoothly.
so cleaning house is essential. And what about the blueprints, the genetic code?
That's huge. Regulating gene expression, controlling which genes are active and when, and protecting your DNA from damage is fundamental.
Right.
It ensures your cells follow the right instructions as they age.
And finally, there's one molecule that seems to be everywhere in these sources.
Yes, NAD plus GAD. It's a critical coenzyme involved in hundreds of metabolic processes, everything from energy production to that all-important DNA repair we just mentioned.
Hmm.
The source is consistently linked declining NAD plus levels with aging.
What's great is that your sources don't just point out these cellular pathways. They dive into various compounds and approaches that are being studied or used to specifically target them. Let's look at some of those direct connections.
Okay, starting with supporting stem cells. The sources mention specific nutrients derived from plants that are believed to protect and even revitalize these crucial cells.
For instance, Life Extension highlights garcinol, which comes from mangosteen, pisatanol, found in grapes, passion fruit, and blueberries, and the very well-known resveratrol,
Yeah, and according to these sources, these plant compounds are said to work through several mechanisms, activating proteins called sirtuins.
often linked to longevity, right?
Exactly. Inhibiting mTOR, which is a pathway involved in cell growth you sometimes want to slow down, activating AMPK, considered a master regulator of metabolism, and blocking HAT enzymes.
HET enzyme.
Yeah, they can make harmful changes to gene expression. So all these actions, they suggest, contribute to better stem cell function, self-renewal, and differentiation.
There are some interesting specific examples cited in your material. Preclinical studies mentioned show that piecytanol improved fat metabolism,
Ah.
resveratrol helped restore healthier metabolism, and even alleviated ovarian stem cell loss in chemotherapy-treated mice.
Right.
And Life Extension specifically mentions their product Cytostem Surge as designed for multi-pathway stem cell enhancement.
Makes sense. Moving on to boosting NAD plus and mitochondrial function, this is an area multiple sources really emphasize. They highlight the importance of NAD plus itself and its precursors, like NMN,
Nicotinamide mononucleotide.
right, and NR, nicotinamide riboside.
You see this emphasis with products like Elysium Health's Basis, which uses nicotinamide riboside to support NAD plus both.
Mm-hmm.
Verso and NoviOS Boost also feature NMN and/or resveratrol, linking them directly to boosting NAD plus levels. Higher NAD plus levels, they suggest, support mitochondrial biogenesis.
Making new mitochondria.
Exactly. Boost energy production and aid DNA repair, often through activating SRT1, one of those sirtuin proteins we just talked about.
And studies mentioned suggest NMN can enhance energy metabolism and may help with weight management.
Okay.
Now, one of the most striking claims in your sources comes from ACA redox signaling molecules.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
They claim their product, which contains active redox signaling molecules, can proliferate mitochondria, potentially increasing your total body mitochondrial population by 10–30% in just 1 week.
Wow, 10 to 30% in a week.
That's the claim. They link this astonishing claim directly to reversing 30 years of aging.
Wow, that's a pretty bold claim. How do they explain that?
Well, their rationale is that these redox signaling molecules are naturally produced in healthy cells and are essential for cellular communication.
Okay.
They suggest the problems occur when cells aren't communicating effectively, and supplementing these molecules can restore that communication, leading to such significant effects.
Okay, cellular communication is a theme we've seen pop up before. Cellcore Biosciences also focuses on supporting mitochondrial function, but their approach highlights what they call charged particles, electrons, hydrogen ions, and oxygen.
The real basics.
Yeah, as the true fundamental elements needed for mitochondria to function optimally. Their foundational medicine approach prioritizes supporting mitochondria and opening detoxification pathways first.
Got it. Next up is enhancing autophagy, that cellular cleanup process, and clearing out senescent cells.
Ah, the zombie cells.
Exactly. Old and damaged, but they refuse to die, just hanging around and causing problems. Autophagy is mentioned as a key target here.
How do some of the sources suggest targeting autophagy?
Well, resveratrol, according to one source, induces autophagy by inhibiting mTOR activity.
Okay.
And Timeline Nutrition focuses on urolithin a compound derived from things like pomegranates, berries, and nuts.
Right.
What's particularly fascinating here, and something your sources point out, is that only about 30–40% of people actually have the right gut bacteria to produce urolithin A from these foods.
Really? So even if you eat a lot of pomegranates, you might not be getting the benefit.
Exactly. That's why products like Timeline Nutrition's MitoPure, which delivers urolithin A directly, are highlighted.
Ah, direct supplementation.
Yeah, they claim it delivers 6 times more urolithin A than pomegranate juice. And urolithin A specifically targets mitophagy,
Mitophagy.
which is the selective cleanup of damaged mitochondria.
That makes sense. Clean up the powerhouses. Mitosin's MitoFast protocol also includes a phase called Lucidol, specifically designed to activate autophagy and clear senescent cells using compounds they refer to as senolytics.
Right, senolytics. Cytophagy is another product mentioned that enhances cellular autophagy, and your sources highlight senolytics like fisetin, quercetin, and piperlongumab as exciting compounds currently being actively studied.
For their potential to selectively clear these old, damaged senescent cells. Got it.
Exactly. Then supporting gene health and epigenetics, the changes to gene expression that don't involve altering the DNA sequence itself, is another core theme.
So protecting and repairing DNA is crucial, but so is making sure the right genes are switched on or off at the right time.
Precisely. Activating those sirtuins and inhibiting the HAT enzymes we mentioned earlier are noted ways to reduce harmful chemical changes that affect gene expression.
And garcinol from mangosteen is highlighted as a potent HAT inhibitor in one source.
That's what it says, yes.
Quicksilver Scientific's approach, which they call the longevity wheel, addresses multiple hallmarks of aging, including genomic instability, damage to DNA, telomere shortening.
The caps on the ends of chromosomes.
Right, and epigenetic alterations like altered methylation, which is a key epigenetic process using targeted compounds.
And Cellcore Biosciences touches on gene silencing as a kind of second firewall, mentioning methylation and the MTHFR gene variation, a common genetic difference that can affect how your body processes certain vitamins, and curcumin.
From turmeric.
Right, curcumin is having potential supportive effects in this area.
Okay. Beyond these core cellular pathways, your sources include a range of other notable supplements and compounds, often linked to longevity or health span. What stands out from this list?
Well, the mention of omega fatty acids is pretty standard, but Offlower is presented as an interesting plant-based source. It provides omega-3s, ALA, SDA, omega-6s, LA, GLA, and omega-9s, oleic acid.
And the sources list a whole spectrum of benefits tied to these fatty acids, right? ALA for cardio and cognitive function, EPA and DHA.
Which SDA can help your body make more of.
Right, for immune function, learning, memory. GLA via DGLA for immune response, bone joint health. And the combination is seen as supporting healthy blood pressure, blood sugar, and mood. A lot going on there.
Yeah, definitely. Another group highlighted are tocotrienols. These are presented as a potentially superior form of vitamin E compared to the more common tocopherols.
Sometimes noted as being 50 times more potent as antioxidants in certain contexts.
Exactly.
And a key practical tip from the sources here is the emphasis on using tocopherol-free products like Delta Gold.
Because tocopherols can actually interfere with tocotrienol absorption.
That's a crucial detail. Annatto is noted as a good source of tocopherol-free tocotrienols.
Right. Benefits mentioned include cardiovascular health, cellular repair, muscle recovery, and immune support. Designs for Health also offers annatto tocotrienols, noting the tocopherol-free aspect and adding ingredients like black cumin seed oil and geranyl.
Which are linked to supporting arterial health and producing vital biological compounds.
Okay, shifting gears a bit, Gut health and the microbiome are presented as incredibly important, almost like another core system.
Uh-huh.
ION Gut Health emphasizes the microbiome as the body's internal firewall and a crucial communication tool for both bacteria and potentially even those mitochondria we discussed earlier.
Interesting connection. Their Restore product is described as supporting this communication network rather than just adding bacteria.
That seems to be the angle, yeah. Okay. BioGaia Gastros features specific strains of L. reuteri, and your sources detail some remarkable findings linked to the ATCC PTA 6475 strain in various studies.
Like what?
Everything from reduced fat mass and increased social grooming in animal studies to improved fur quality, and even effects on immune markers like IL-10 and IL-17A and apoptosis.
Program cell death.
Yes, of leukemia cells in lab studies.
That's quite a diverse set of potential effects linked to just one bacterial strain.
It really highlights the growing appreciation in these sources for how interconnected gut health is with systemic well-being.
Makes sense. Good gut health is broadly linked in the sources to improved immunity, reduced stress, even mental health benefits like impacting anxiety, depression, potentially autism.
And products like Thrive and My Gene Food offer personalized gut health and nutrition based on testing or even DNA analysis.
Your sources also include lists of compounds favored by experts like Dr. David Sinclair and Dr. Brad Stanfield. What's consistently appearing on those lists?
These lists frequently include the NAD boosters like NMN and NR, resveratrol, alpha-lipoic acid, often abbreviated as ALA, but different from the omega-3 ALA.
Right, got to keep those ALAs straight.
Yeah. Quercetin and fish oil.
Metformin, the diabetes drug used off-label sometimes, and berberine, that plant compound often compared to metformin, are also mentioned.
Yes, often with clear cautions about consulting a doctor, especially for metabolic conditions, and suggestions for pulse dosing, like taking breaks for berberine.
Good to note.
Other mentions scattered throughout the sources include vitamin D, vitamin K2, hyaluronic acid, sulforaphane precursors like glucoraphanin and myrosinase, spermidine and rapamycin, another prescription drug sometimes discussed in longevity circles.
Okay, we've talked about cellular basics and some common supplements, but your sources also delve into some truly unique interventions and approaches. Let's dive into those, starting with cellular detoxification.
Right. Dr. Dan Pompa's approach, mentioned by Revelation Health, centers on the premise, fix the cell to get well.
Okay.
It focuses on cellular detoxification through phased protocols they call true cellular detox.
And this involves systematically opening the body's natural drainage pathways like liver, kidneys, lymphatics, supporting mitochondrial function, and using specific binders like alpha-lipoic acid.
Here used as a binder to grab toxins.
Right, to help remove bioaccumulated toxins, particularly from brain and nerve tissue. Products like the Fasting Trio are mentioned as supports during fasting, helping to eliminate these toxins.
Then there's Mitozin. They present a fascinating multi-phase protocol called MitoFast, designed to layer interventions over a period of days or longer.
How does that layering work? What's the sequence?
Well, phase 1 focuses on loading NAD plus MITE using products like their NAD plus Max, often delivered in unique ways.
Okay.
Phase 2 uses Senolytics products like Lucidol to activate autophagy and clear senescent cells.
Got it. Clear out the old stuff.
And phase 3 is designed to stimulate stem cells with Stemtor or support what they call microbiome swarming, potentially using high-dose melatonin, their Sandman product, or support stem cell survival with compounds like fucoidan and CoQ10.
Microbiome swarming, that sounds interesting.
It does. What's particularly notable about Mitozin, as seen in your sources, is their heavy reliance on unique delivery methods, including various suppositories and nasal sprays.
Right, they mention Zayan nasal spray for stimulating the vagal nerve, vagal activation, and Marcon's A and B for sinus health and dealing with bacterial biofilms.
Yeah, those sticky communities of bacteria.
Now here's where it gets really interesting, to quote one of your sources. Methylene blue.
Ah, yes, the blue dye.
This old textile dye, which has been used medicinally for over a century, is presented with a surprisingly wide and frankly intriguing range of potential benefits in your sources.
It's described as a powerful mitochondrial biohack, significantly improving cellular energy production. One source even links it to helping overcome trauma, calling the effect fear extinction.
Fear extinction. Wow. Your sources discuss its use in cancer treatments by helping oxygenate tumors, its potential protection against EMF toxicity by reducing damaging molecules like peroxynitrite,
Nasty stuff.
and its historical use as an anti-malarial, noted as being more potent than quinine.
It's highlighted for powerful antiviral properties, including against SARS-CoV-2.
Right. Some sources even suggest it might have a preventative effect for COVID-19 and note its effectiveness against other viruses like West Nile and dengue, especially when combined with light therapy.
Photodynamic therapy, PDT.
Exactly. They mention its FDA approval for treating methemoglobinemia, a condition where oxygen can't be released to tissues, and note striking similarities between this condition and severe COVID-19 symptoms.
Interesting parallel.
It's also linked to treating aspiration pneumonia, improving nerve protection, memory, and acting as a powerful antioxidant.
A key point strongly emphasized in the sources is the critical importance of using only pharmaceutical-grade methylene blue due to potential impurities in other forms.
Absolutely crucial.
It's rated with a high safety grade in one source, noting it doesn't interfere with neurotransmitters, but significantly enhances mitochondrial efficiency, with a report of a significant positive impact on depression symptoms. It's striking how one substance in your sources is linked to so many diverse potential benefits.
It really is. Another area explored is alkalinity and carbon dioxide. Raising body alkalinity, particularly by boosting bicarbonate levels, is linked to boosting performance by improving the optimal pH for mitochondrial enzymes to function.
Sources mention using sodium bicarbonate, simple baking soda, or sodium citrate for this, noting timing differences for optimal performance effects.
The discussion then connects this to fascinating observations in naked mole rats. These long-lived rodents tolerate high CO2 and low O2 environments.
Very unusual creatures.
And humans living at high altitudes who show reduced rates of heart disease, stroke, and cancer. This altitude effect is linked in the sources to retaining CO2 via the Haldane effect.
Which influences how blood carries oxygen and carbon dioxide.
Right. Sodium bicarbonate is presented with a remarkably vast and almost unbelievable array of reported benefits in your sources,
It's quite the list.
including antioxidant effects for poisonings and herbicide damage, antiviral properties, anti-inflammatory effects, immune enhancement, lifespan increase in mice studies, metabolic benefits, skin health, sleep quality, thyroid function, and reducing factors in the tumor microenvironment.
Wow.
The sources even detail a specific protocol by Vernon Johnson using baking soda and molasses for self-treating cancer. Despite this wide range of anecdotal and study claims, safety is generally described as having few minor side effects compared to conventional treatments.
Primarily upset stomach at high doses, which could usually be managed.
Right. It's quite something to see baking soda linked to so many different areas in these sources.
Building on that theme of simple traditional remedies, the combination of apple cider vinegar and baking soda is presented as a powerful natural tonic used since ancient times.
Taken daily, it's said to balance the body's pH, improve nutrient absorption, increase energy, prevent acid reflux, treat muscular pain and inflammation, improve eye health, clear skin issues, reduce allergies, and help fight off colds and flu.
Quite the cure-all, according to these accounts.
Your sources also mention accounts of its use in managing cancer symptoms and slowing tumor growth alongside medical treatments, emphasizing the importance of using raw ACV with the natural mother.
Good point about the mother. Finally, your sources touch on ketones, beyond just following a ketogenic diet.
Right, exogenous ketones, ketones you consume directly like ketone esters, deltag, delta, and ketone diesters, like the C6 ketone diester and metabolic switch, are discussed for rapidly achieving ketosis.
And potential benefits for performance, recovery, endurance, and metabolic health. Products like Deltag and Delta-H ketone esters and metabolic switch are mentioned for quickly getting into a state of ketosis.
But Quicksilver Scientific's keto before 6-enal offers a different angle. It's a plant-based, liposomal formula designed to accelerate natural ketone production.
By activating pathways like AMPK and autophagy.
Exactly. The sources make a key distinction here, noting that activating these crucial longevity pathways like AMPK and autophagy really requires natural ketosis produced by your body.
Not just the state achieved solely by using exogenous ketones.
Right. This approach allows for more dietary flexibility compared to a strict keto diet while still aiming for those longevity benefits.
Makes sense.
So as you look through these sources, it really becomes clear just how many different angles are being explored for supporting health span and longevity.
From the foundational science of stem cells and mitochondria to specific compounds and these unique, sometimes surprising interventions, the sheer volume of information can definitely feel overwhelming at first glance.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, but by breaking it down the way we have looking at the underlying cellular processes being targeted, whether it's energy production, cellular cleanup, repair systems, or communication.
You can start to see the patterns and understand the potential rationale behind these very different approaches and supplements. It really helps to organize the information and see that while the methods vary, many are aiming at similar biological goals at that fundamental cellular level.
We've covered a lot of ground today, delving deep into the science of stem cells, mitochondria, NAD plus autophagy, and a fascinating array of compounds and interventions from your sources.
Yeah, from ancient remedies like baking soda and apple cider vinegar to cutting-edge concepts like photoactivated methylene blue and personalized gut health based on your DNA, the world of longevity interventions highlighted in this collection is incredibly diverse and full of surprising details.
So, what does this all mean for you as you continue to explore this topic and look at your sources?
Perhaps the most provocative thought to leave you with is this. Given the consistent emphasis across so many different sources on fundamental cellular health supporting your mitochondria, cleaning up cellular junk, repairing DNA, enhancing cellular communication, how might shifting your focus to supporting these core processes, rather than just trying to address individual symptoms as they arise, fundamentally change your approach to health and well-being?